This is a video about the respiratory system, particularly the lungs. Our names are Audrey Riedel, Maggie Hands, and Luke Miller. Audrey will first be talking about definitions and detailed information pertaining to the respiratory system. I will be talking about the historical context of the issue of vaping and the negative effect it has on the human body, along with the causes and symptoms of health issues associated with vaping. And Luke will be discussing how to treat this illness, along with the societal implications it has.
The lungs are a major part of the respiratory system, which is simply a collection of organs and tissues that work together in order for you to breathe. This system is essentially meant to remove waste gases from the body while also taking in oxygen. The respiratory system includes the nose, mouth, throat, larynx, also known as the voice box, windpipe, and lungs. It has airways, muscles, blood vessels, and tissues that work together to make breathing possible. Along with this, your brain controls your breathing based on how much oxygen your body needs. Oxygen initially enters the body through the nose or mouth, which then leads to the throat. It then passes through the voice box, also known as the larynx, into the windpipe, or trachea, which divides into left and right air tubes, called bronchi, which then directly connect to the lungs. The bronchi branch into similar and smaller bronchi and smaller air tubes called bronchioles. The tiny air sacs at the end of the bronchioles are called alveoli. This is where carbon dioxide and oxygen are exchanged. The structure of the lungs is a spongy texture. The lungs bring oxygen into the body through inhalation and send carbon dioxide out through exhalation. The lungs lie on each side of the breastbone and fill the inside of the chest cavity. The right lung has 3 main sections called lobes, while the left lung has 2 lobes, so there is space for the heart, making it slightly smaller than the right lung. As someone breathes in, the diaphragm moves towards the abdomen, and the ribs are pulled upward and outward, inadvertently making the chest cavity larger, pulling air through the nose and mouth and into the lungs. Your diaphragm is a wall of muscle that separates the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity. As it moves down, it creates a suction in the chest which draws air in and expands the lungs. When someone breathes out, the diaphragm moves upward and the chest muscles relax, causing the chest cavity to decrease in size and push air out from the lungs to the nose or mouth. The process of lungs bringing in oxygen to blood and getting rid of carbon dioxide is called gas exchange. Oxygen moves from the alveoli to the blood through the capillaries which line the walls of the alveoli. This process is called diffusion. Oxygen gets picked up by red blood cells in the bloodstream and is sent to the heart to pump throughout the body. Each cell within the body exchanges oxygen for carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide moves out of the cells into the capillaries where it dissolves in the blood plasma. This blood returns to the heart through the veins and is pumped into the lungs so it can be exhaled after passing through the alveoli.
There have been 350 cases of vaping-associated pulmonary illness, VAPI, as of September 2019. All cases have been associated with electronic cigarette use, aka vaping. Vaping is the use of an electronic system to inhale drugs, most commonly nicotine. This can also be referred to as juuling as well. Vaping entered the U.S. market in 2006 but did not become a viable business until the 2010s, when smoking became banned in many indoor and outdoor areas. In vaping, devices heat volatile liquid in a cartridge which is meant to be inhaled. Essentially, it turns liquid into vapor. The devices have been heavily marketed and resemble everyday materials, such as flash drives or pens, making them easy to transport and to hide. The first vape was developed by a Chinese pharmacist and inventor, Han Lik. His motivation was to get himself off of smoking as nicotine patches were not working in his favor. The CDC reported an epidemic of severe lung disease caused by vaping. E-cigarettes have been advertised as safer than smoking, but the vapor harms lung tissue much like cigarettes do. E-cigarettes increase inflammation and inhibit cells from protecting lung tissue. the cells become vulnerable to dust, bacteria, and allergies. And unfortunately, because e-cigarettes have only been around for 10 years, the long-term effects on health are not known. But there have been short-term issues with patients who use e-cigarettes. Symptoms of these patients with vape include shortness of breath, fever, cough, vomiting, headache, dizziness, and chest pain. Many patients have been hospitalized or required ICU-level care due to respiratory failure. In the most severe cases, the CDC has reported 6 deaths linked with vape. The cause for vape is not known as of yet, but there are compounds present in vaporized material that can cause harm to the lungs, such as flavorings, which contain chemicals linked to serious lung disease, volatile organic compounds, and heavy metals, for example, nickel, tin, and lead. Vape comes from a range of vaping devices and liquids. There is not just one device linked to the disease. It is associated with nicotine, THC, and CBD products.
No exact treatment for VAPI has been found, but based on limited information, corticosteroids, which are synthetic drugs that decrease inflammation and swelling in the airways, may improve symptoms. Along with this, clinicians should be working to find other causes of lung infection and about e-cigarette use in all patients with acute lung disease. The CDC recommends clinicians also report to their state or health department about causes of VAPI along with the FDA. Along with this, there's not a list of regulations in place to control the use of e-cigarettes, and the social implications are not yet known, as vaping has not been around long enough to see any long-term effects. In a 2016 pediatric study, 11% of 10th graders use electronic cigarettes, and more than 4% of middle schoolers have tried vaping products. On a larger scale, more than 2 million teenagers admitted to vaping within the last 30 days. A specific type of e-cigarette called the Juul is the most popular, as it has taken over around 68% of the $2 billion e-cigarette market. It is very popular for young adults with its design, ability to be charged quickly, and flavors like cool mint, creme brulee, and fruit. There are also different designs for the Juul, which make it more appealing to users. Along with this, social media influencers have been hired to promote the Juul to advertise it to a larger audience. Recently, the FDA accused Juul of illegally marketing their products. Juuling has become very popular within schools and in social atmospheres, which is concerning as it is the highest concentration of nicotine than all other e-cigarettes. Nicotine is known to impair brain and lung development if used at a young age, and along with this, 1 Juul pod is equivalent to 20 cigarettes when comparing nicotine levels. When nicotine, organic compounds, heavy metals, and other harmful chemicals are inhaled into the lungs, they can cause severe lung damage.